One of the biggest topics on the internet, on the YouTubes today, talking about your money is Roth conversion. And while Roth conversions make a ton of sense a lot of the time, there are some really good reasons not to do a Roth conversion. So while everybody is telling you convert everything you can over to Roth, here's going to be 7 reasons why maybe a Roth conversion might not make sense for your overall financial plan. Now, to be 100% clear, if you look at this financial plan I did for an actual client, Roth conversions can be a very good idea. So this is with the Roth conversion. We can just kind of ignore their original financial plan, which was DIY and kind of do nothing. After their financial plan, their net worth at age 100 should wind up being somewhere around $25 million. And then with a Roth conversion, we actually could get that bumped up to about $28 million. So again, the younger you are, the more money you make, the more I think Roth conversions are no-brainer. But this is going to be 7 reasons why Roth conversions might not make sense for you in your retirement years. So as I go through this video, I'm going to hit 7 really good reasons why you might not want to pull the trigger on a Roth conversion. You may want to take out a piece of paper and a pen and just write this down like a checklist. If any of these make sense, or if we start to accumulate too many reasons not to do it, it might not be the right time for you to go into your financial advisor and have them move a bunch of money to Roth. Also, if you find something here helpful, you can share it with a friend, or if you subscribe, you'll get notified anytime I put up some free financial advice. It might just help make your money life and your peace of mind life a little bit better. So the first reason not to do a Roth conversion is if you don't have the non-qualified, that taxable money, checking account money to pay the taxes. Every dollar you move from a traditional pre-tax IRA into a Roth is basically going to get 1099 to you on a tax form, and you're going to have to pay ordinary income taxes on it. So if you don't have a bunch of money sitting in a checking account to write a big tax bill, you may not want to do that Roth conversion. So here, using this Roth conversion calculator from Vanguard, we can see that if we wanted to convert $50,000 worth of pre-tax money into Roth money, yeah, in 20 years, we're gonna have an extra $20,000 based on today's tax rate. But if we look, and if we have to go to the IRA to pull that money, the dirty little secret in financial planning is if tax rates never change, if your income tax rate never changes, your actual savings from doing a Roth conversion is 0. Pre-tax and after tax, if the tax rates never change, will almost end up being the exact same. The second reason you may not want to do a Roth conversion now is because a lot of my clients, I get them into retirement, we do a really good job savings, they have 401k, IRA, Roth IRA, and we're planning on that distribution to minimize taxes in the long run. Our tax strategy really has to take into account which buckets we're going to pull from, but a lot of my clients end up with a large brokerage account. Either they've been doing it themselves for a long time, just stuffing money into a Fidelity account, or we have another investment account built up for them. So a lot of times we plan on spending that IRA and Roth IRA money, but we actually end up with a large taxable brokerage account that we can pull money from as well. So one of the things that is a little bit different in my financial planning is most people come to me and they say, well, hey, I'm gonna make less money in retirement, so I'll be in a lower tax bracket. So I wanna pull that money out of that pre-tax IRA. Well, my first response is I don't plan for any of my retirees to take a pay cut in retirement. I want them to get a pay increase. If your ordinary income tax rate is around 20%, but we can get a preferential capital gains tax rate from a taxable account, that might be one reason not to do that Roth conversion and pay that higher tax rate today. Another big reason why we may not want to do that Roth conversion is because your heirs are going to get a step up in basis on any taxable money you leave them as an inheritance. So if 30 years ago we bought $100,000 worth of Microsoft stock, and that amount has grown up to a $2 million bucket of Microsoft stock, if you passed this on to your heirs, they would get a step up in basis from that $20 per share to that $400 per share that it is on the day they inherit that. If those are the two stock prices, if you bought it at 20 and you pass it on at 400, they're gonna get a step up in basis, and they would essentially skip the tax on $1.9 million. We wouldn't have to pay that because they would get that taxable account and that step up in basis. So the third reason, and you're gonna have to hang on with me here through the tinfoil hat or get your own tinfoil hat out. I actually did a video on this. You can find it here in the link or in the description, is that tax rates can change. The government can come in and do basically whatever they want to your tax situation. So if we look at this example, I live in the state of Washington. In our state constitution for 150 years or whatever it is, the capital gains tax were basically considered unconstitutional. Well, just a couple of years ago, they came in and the Supreme Court decided that all of a sudden they're constitutional, and now we have an 8% capital gains tax rate here in the state of Washington. So one of the big threats to your overall financial plan, and especially to things like Roths, is that the tax code can change. The government could come in and say, you know what, if you have a certain net worth, you're no longer allowed to take tax-free distributions. Some administrations, like the current administration, have said, hey, we want to go away from an income tax. So the bottom line is, if we spend all this time and pay all this extra money to convert money from pre-tax IRA to Roth IRA, we may end up paying a bunch of money to save money that never actually catches a tax break. The fourth reason you may not want to pay a bunch of money to convert your money from pre-tax to Roth is because if you're planning on passing this money on, if the plan in your overall financial plan is to give money to your heirs or to charities, you might actually end up paying unnecessary taxes if you do that Roth conversion today. So let's say you have an IRA that's pre-tax with $1 million in it. If you were to convert that to a Roth IRA at a 20% tax rates, you would have to pay the IRS $200,000, and you would end up with effectively $800,000 in the Roth, even though you would convert the full million, but I'm deducting the $200,000 out. The bottom line is your overall net worth would go down $200,000. Let's say you have a pre-tax IRA with $1 million in it and a checking account with $500,000 in it, and you have a net worth of $1.5 million, and you convert that $1 million into a Roth. You're gonna have to pay the IRS at a 20% tax rate, $200,000, which then gives you a total net worth of $1.3 million. So if the plan is to pass that money on to charities, it's gonna make a lot more sense not to do a Roth conversion, and here's why. Instead of paying all that money to the IRS to convert this to Roth, which will leave those charities tax-free money, there's two big considerations. Number one, you can take qualified charitable distributions, QCDs, up to $100,000 per year. So over time, you could take $100,000 per year and give it to charity, satisfy your RMDs, and not pay the taxes on that conversion. You're essentially giving it to a charity and not paying the taxes to convert it to a Roth first. The big second reason is that charities, nonprofits, anyone who qualifies under the tax code actually gets to take inherited IRA money tax-free already. So if you pass $1 million onto your favorite charity, they're not actually gonna have to pay taxes on that if they qualify under the tax code. The fifth reason why Roth conversions might not make sense to your overall financial plan is the time aspect. If you're getting a little bit older, we're talking about life expectancy, the biggest advantage to converting to Roth is that all the growth in those buckets is going to come out tax-free. Now, if you're planning on using it for income, or you need it sooner rather than later, or your life expectancy is a little bit less, it may not make sense, and here's 3 reasons why. The first reason is that the Roth conversion rule, the 5-year rule, applies to Roth conversions for every conversion you do. So you're starting a new timer every time you do a Roth conversion. If you do 5 conversions over 5 years, that's 5 different little buckets of money that you have to wait 5 years to touch without paying any penalties or taxes. Number 2 is if you were to pass on $500,000 in pre-tax money and you're in a 20% tax bracket, but your kids are in a 10% tax bracket, it might actually make more sense for them to inherit that money and pay that overall lower tax burden. Number 3 is that from a longer term planning perspective, if we're just paying a bunch of our cash and brokerage account money to pay taxes on Roth conversions and we don't have the time to realize all those benefits, and we're using that really flexible taxable money that could go to a lot of different things, you may be setting yourself up for paying a bunch of unnecessary taxes and not necessarily reaping the reward. And I'll actually go over an example of that in number 7. The 6th reason why it might not make sense to do that Roth conversion right away is because when you do that conversion, you actually start adding income into your adjusted gross income, and that can affect other parts of your financial plan. For instance, your Medicare supplement or the Affordable Care Act extra tax on people who make a lot more money. If we start adding that income into your annual taxes, into your AGI, you might actually end up paying more in Medicare taxes. Also, if you happen to make a whole bunch of money and we start adding in even more Roth conversion money, you might up your capital gains tax rate. So since the tax code is over 80,000 pages, and these are only 2 examples, I can almost guarantee there's more examples in there where higher income equals higher taxes. And if we start doing those Roth conversions, and especially if we don't have to because there's other options like QCDs or irrevocable life insurance trusts or other ways to pay those taxes, we may end up paying too much in unnecessary taxes. So for instance, if your joint tax return, if you're sitting here and then we add in $100,000 worth of Roth conversion money, you might end up actually increasing your Part B premiums on your Medicare and not really kind of know you're doing it when you're doing those Roth conversions. And number 7, and this actually sometimes comes down to be one of the biggest reasons that my clients may not do that Roth conversion, or we might do smaller Roth conversions than we had originally planned, is because non-qualified money, taxable money, checking account money, brokerage account money is super easy to work with. It comes out, we know what the taxes are, we know what we can do. So long-term care is a big consideration. And taking money out of an IRA or doing a Roth conversion is going to eat up a bunch of that other taxable brokerage account money. And that money might, from a mathematical standpoint, be better off doing something like paying for a single premium long-term care plan. So that's where if we have a brokerage account with $1.5 million in it, and I can generate enough income for my clients off $1 million, well, we have $500,000 that just kind of sits around, and eventually that's going to pass on. I just had a set of clients, they actually had $200,000 in a checking account. All we did was take $200,000. We wrote one check. We just essentially moved that money from one bucket to another. And now they go to bed every night knowing that their long-term care concerns are completely taken care of, and their kids will never have to come in and figure out how to pay for mom and dad's long-term care if they get dementia or Alzheimer's. If you want to gift money or pay for grandkids' college or things like that, a lot of times those extra steps, getting the tax forms, doing the conversion, all that stuff gets in the way of doing the things that you want to do. And again, just the ease of using that checking or taxable brokerage account money, it's super simple to write those checks. So every now and then there's a monetary reason, but also there's a non-monetary reason to do things. And at the end of the day, if something's easier and it lets you sleep better at night, that might be the best reason to do or not do something, including Roth conversions. So I hope you found that helpful. If you want an opinion on whether or not a Roth conversion might be right for you, you can fill out one of the quizzes below. When I get the time, which is less and less these days, I'll try and get back to you as soon as I can with a tailored video response just to you. And if you want to set up 10 minutes to chat with me, you can click on any of the links and grab a spot on my calendar. Thanks so much and happy investing.